see yourself as a person who strategically leads a company versus being the scrappy hustler working inside your business. And it is a big identity shift. And so that work takes time and goes really deep. Hello and welcome to the Inner Game of Entrepreneurship podcast. I'm your host, Sarah, and today we're talking about the 300K ceiling. This is a very specific ceiling that I see in creative and spiritual entrepreneurs. I say 300K, this ceiling could show up around 200 as well. It may even start showing up around 150, but I have found you can get at highest to 300K operating with these patterns, and then you will hit a ceiling that you cannot break through, and you're just running up against it and you're trying to outwork it, and you can't figure out why not. So it's not that the things that I'm going to share today are not a problem at lower income levels. They are, but they can be there as a problem. They can be a present and persistent problem, and you can still be making money. You can still be making 50K, 60K, 70, 80, 90, 100. And then you're so excited because you've crossed that six-figure mark and everything's going so well, and you're getting proof of concept, you're getting proof of success, you're getting proof that people like your offers, that people like you, that your business is working. And then you're in day-to-day delivery and you're serving. And then you're like, okay, well, if this is working, then we can scale it, we can grow it, we can make it bigger. And then you might get to 200, 250, 275, maybe. You're not going to get past 3, and you will not be able to figure out why. And it's because the things that worked to get you to this level do not work for scale. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today. I see this pattern over and over again with my clients. The thing that a lot of my clients who are already making this much money have in common is that they are incredible at the thing they do. They have a unique angle. They are charming. They're charismatic. People like them. People like their offer. People like their service. People like their product. When they put something on sale, it sells. They're good at that part. That's the part they have nailed. And that's huge. There are so many entrepreneurs who are very good at like planning and organizing and strategy, but they don't have that sales it factor of like when I show up online and I say, hey, I'm doing this thing, people buy it. They don't have that. Right? So it's just a different set of problems. A lot of my clients who are at this level have that magic it factor of when I put something on sale, it sells out. When I go online and I share that I've made something new, it sells out. They don't have to worry about that part. And because of that, they have gotten to the level of success they're at by just launching and selling, launching and selling, launching and selling. They're on this constant kind of rotation of I have an idea, I drop that idea, people buy it, and then I move on and I have another idea. I create the idea. I drop it. People buy it. I have another idea. I drop it. People buy it. And it just goes like that. And as a result, they end up creating themselves a very demanding full-time job. And frequently they're on a little bit of an income roller coaster where every time they launch and sell something, they get a cash influx. And then when they're not launching and selling something new, their cash flow dips down. So they're in these peaks and valleys. Now those peaks are higher than they used to be. So they're still really excited. They can have a 60, 80, 100K launch. But then in the dead months, the dead months are still dead. It's just that their launches go really well because they've been on this endless cycle of ideate, launch, sell, deliver. They now have amassed a huge back catalog of things they've launched that they've only sold once, things they gave away in the past, lead magnets, workshops they've taught in the past, things that they've created, limited edition offers, just things they've made throughout the years that they sold once and they never sold again. They sold maybe 2 times, never sold again. So they have this Google Drive full of revenue generating ideas, just collecting dust, because they're constantly reinventing the wheel. Like I said, you can get to 300K like this. You really can. You will probably not like what it feels like. You will be working all the time. You will be on this endless peaks and valleys roller coaster. You will be exhausted from the cycle. You'll be exhausted from delivery. You will be so sick of coming up with new offers, building a whole new landing page, doing a whole new launch, selling a whole new thing, delivering a whole new thing, and then starting over. But you don't really know what else you're supposed to be doing because this is all you really know of business and it has worked for you thus far. And so the larger strategic framework underneath your business is missing. You had the sales part, you had the offer part, you had the marketing part. That part all really worked, but there wasn't a long-term strategic infrastructure in place to begin with. Also, frequently, there are no repeatable systems because you're doing things kind of on the fly and you're making up new offers and you're not doing things often enough to build up a repeatable system behind it. And so there's a lot of busy work that you end up having to do simply because there's a lack of systems behind the scenes. You're constantly having to reinvent the wheel in your marketing because if you're always marketing brand new stuff, there's all this new content that has to be created. And if you're not at the point where you're able to hire someone to write all your copy and do all of your marketing, you're doing tons and tons and tons and tons of making new videos, making new stories, writing new copy, writing new emails, writing new sales pages over and over. It is exhausting to do. Scalable structures are repeatable. Scalability requires simplification and repetition. A lot of people don't know that you could increase your sales by 3 to 4 times just by launching something 3 to 4 more times. So if you launch a program and you get 10 people in it the first time, and then you keep launching that program every quarter, every year, every 6 months. By the time you get to the 4th launch of the program, you're likely to get 40 clients in it instead of 10. You could have just repeated your offer and seen your sales increase every single time by repeating the offer instead of constantly coming up with new offers. When you start simplifying and systematizing in the business, you start to create the kinds of structures that allow you as the CEO to spend more time focused on how to help your customers in a big picture way, spend more time working on the business and less time working in the business on creation and sales and delivery. There are 6, I believe, essential systems that every business needs in place in order to scale. And a lot of businesses that have hit this 300K ceiling have some of those systems completely overbloated and others completely empty. So they have too many audience growth channels. They are trying to grow an audience on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube and a podcast. And they are creating content for all of those different platforms. Sometimes they're dropping the ball. Sometimes they're really consistent on one and sometimes not. They can't really tell which of their audience growth channels is really bringing them in the most leads. They can't really tell how many people from the audience are converting into the business. They're just doing a lot of audience growth activity because they feel like that's what they need to do. And then they might have maybe no lead generation, or they again have overbloated lead generation because they have 15 different lead magnets that they've made over time for a bunch of different offers. And only 1 or 2 of them is really active. And they're not even sure which lead magnet is really successfully bringing them in sales. They might have no client retention or referral system. They might have no repeated delivery system. So they're going to have some systems overpacked where they've been over creating in those areas and other systems that they've never focused on at all. And one of the first things I do when I start working with a new business owner is I audit their business to see what's going on in the structures underneath. Where are they overbloated? And where are they underdeveloped? And we start bridging the gaps. We start simplifying and clarifying what already exists. We start doing kind of a Marie Kondo process of going through everything you've created, all of your offers, all of your lead magnets, all of your marketing, distilling down what really makes sense to keep and focus on and scale and what can go. And then we start building systems behind your marketing, your lead generation, your sales, your delivery, your retention, your referral process, so that the whole business runs like a machine that makes money for you with a repeated schedule, with long-term sales plans and projections that allow you to relax and stop being on these peaks and valleys of, oh no, I need money. Let me come up with a new idea. Let me hustle. Let me launch something. Let me drop a new offer. Everything feels so much more spacious and so much more clear for you as a provider, but also for your customers because they start to really understand what your business does because things are getting repeated. Your offer suite makes sense. Your customer journey makes sense to them. They can find out really quickly when they land on your website or on your social media exactly what it is you do and where they should start and how you can help them because you're no longer this random collection of one-off offerings where you're really selling personality and vibes and buy into you. And instead now you are selling solutions and products that your customer can immediately identify. This is what I want. This is what will help me. This is what will solve my problem. This is the kind of work that I do with my clients at every level of all of my offerings. So whether you are coming in to do a single 2-hour CEO direction intensive where we are going to audit all of your offers and create you a quarter long or longer 90-day plus plan for exactly what you're going to sell. What is your fastest path to increasing your profit over the next quarter? What are you going to be launching over the next 3, 6, 9 months to help you have a clear plan for what your work is going to look like so that you can relax into the work instead of always scrambling for what's next. It's what we do in VIP days when we are building out entire business backends, systems, frameworks, curriculums that allow a business owner to go back into their business with the structures that we're missing completely built out and ready to operate. It's what I do with my one-on-one clients and my mastermind clients in deep work over the course of 6 months to a year. And in those cases, the other thing that we're doing is coaching the individual on a new level of CEO identity. Because when you are at this 200 to 300K ceiling, operating like a creative hustler, you're comfortable working like that. And you're comfortable with the identity of that. And you're comfortable with that type of work. And you are comfortable with how hard you have to work. And you're comfortable with how much of a struggle everything is and what those struggles are. And when you start changing these things and you start working differently, you're going to have a new set of internal challenges that turn on. You're going to have rebellions. Can I really do this? Scarcity is going to pop up. You're going to feel insecure about it. You're going to have to grapple with these inner identity incongruencies around whether or not you're really ready to see yourself as a person who strategically leads a company versus being the scrappy hustler working inside your business. And it is a big identity shift. And so that work takes time and goes really deep, but frequently needs to happen, maybe almost always needs to happen alongside the strategic rebuild of the company. Or else what will happen is the second there's a slowdown or a decrease in revenue or some internal doubt or wobble, that CEO will just go back to doing things the way that they were doing them before because that's what they know works. And they'll just go, well, I'm just going to launch a whole new offer because I have a new idea. It's really hard to stick to the plan if you're not getting that internal support and identity stabilization that says, hold on, you've worked so hard. Don't go backwards now. Don't go back to the thing that you were doing before. Just stay the course. And frequently when they do, that's when they start seeing the breakthrough, the turnaround. That's when I start getting messages from people who are like, I just did a 30K launch over 2 weeks while I was on vacation and everything happened the way that it was supposed to. And my team handled everything and all of my automations worked and customers signed up and I didn't have to do anything. This is what I've been waiting for. This is what this is supposed to feel like. But it took a lot of stabilization of self to allow themselves to trust that it would work and build that plan and get it out into the world so that they could have that experience. And that's what those deeper containers do, where I can really stay with someone through the implementation process and steady them through the implementation process. So if as you're listening to this, you are recognizing That's what I'm doing in my business. I am in a continual cycle of need cash, have an idea, launch a new thing, sell a new thing, deliver the new thing, cycle starts over, cycle starts over, cycle starts over. And I have now tons and tons of things that I've offered, but no real systems behind anything. I don't really repeat offers. I don't have a really clear customer suite or customer journey or offer suite where people can come in and walk themselves along a path from one thing to the next that allows them to get maximum value out of my work and also increases my lifetime customer value. If you're recognizing that this is exactly the work that you need, I would love to work with you. I mentioned a few different ways that we can do that. We can do that in a 2-hour direction intensive. We could do it in a 6-hour long CEO day. And you're also always welcome to reach out to me about one-on-one coaching or being in my mastermind. Those are longer term commitments. But whichever level you're at, I would love to help you get the structure underneath your brilliance that your work really deserves and that you really deserve so that you can sit back a little bit more and enjoy the fruits of the business that you've built a little bit more, because continuing to do things the way that you're doing them, if you're in this cycle, will never get you new results. You will just stay on this hamster wheel, creating new things, dropping new things, selling new things over and over and over and over and over again. There is no way out of this. It is a closed loop circuit. So if you would like a way out, I would like to help you build one. I'm going to put the links in the show notes for how you can book any or all of those things. You can also just go to Intuitive Edge Coaching and click on work with me. I think maybe it's under services, and you can book a call and we can discuss what's the best fit for you. You can DM me on Instagram at Intuitive Edge Coaching or at Inner Game of Entrepreneurship Pod. If you would like to discuss it in the DMs, you can shoot me a voice note. I answer all of them. However you want to get in touch, I would love to talk with you. I hope that this was helpful and illuminating for you. Okay, love you. Bye.
That's our episode for today. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this. I know there are so many things that you could be doing with your day, so many things you could be listening to, and it means so much that you are here in this community. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment, share it on social media, and tag me at Intuitive Edge Coaching. Share it with a biz bestie who you think needs to hear it and will appreciate it. And take a moment to to subscribe, and to leave a 5-star review wherever you are listening. It helps me grow this show, and it helps us grow and sustain this brilliant community of entrepreneurs dedicated to doing the inner work. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, love you. Bye.